Now when designing a form and adding fields to a form, sometimes your tab order is not always logical. And I'm viewing the form at the moment in Form View, and if I press the tab key, I can just check what order the database will tab through these fields. So it's going down from class ID to instructor ID, term cost, down to location, notes, great works, and over to year and days and times. Now looking at the tab order, I'm thinking really they don't need to tab to class ID because this is an auto number and they're not required to fill this in. So I might set the tab stop property to no for this field. And then I might change the order in which I tab between these fields. So I need to hit the View drop down to the far left of my ribbon and go back to Design View. I might make class ID orange, which indicates to the user they don't have to fill in that field. So I'll click on one of the orange fields, I'll go to the Format tab in the ribbon, and I'll hit the Format Painter, and I'll click on class ID. Unfortunately, that's pushed the label out to the left, so I'll just rectify that. I'll just drag up through these labels, and using the Arrange tab in my ribbon, I will align those controls to the right. Now I want to set class ID to have a tab stop property of no. So if I click on class ID and go over to my property sheet and I can see tab stop here, I'll double click tab stop and that's just set the tab stop to no, so they won't tab to that field. Now also I'd like them to tab from class name to instructor ID and to year and to term and to days and times and then proceed to go down. So to control the tab order, I'm actually just going to right click on the form and go to tab order. And this is the order that it tabs in at the moment. Even though I set the tab stop to no, class ID is still included and so are the calculations. But I know it won't stop at class ID. But after class ID it goes to instructor ID, and this is not where I want it to go. I want it to go to class name. So I'll click in front of class name and I'll literally drag class name up and put it under class ID. So it goes to class name, then instructor ID, then I want it to go to year, so I'll select year and I'll drag that up under instructor ID. So it goes instructor ID, then year, then term, then days and times, so I'll move this up above cost. Then it'll go to cost, then it'll go to, let's just put GST total cost in these particular fields underneath cost, even though it doesn't stop at them, just so it's in a logical order. And then it goes to location, it goes to notes, and it goes to today. Well, today is actually at the very, very top, and it's set to tab stop, set to no as well, but I'll put that at the top as well. So you can automatically order your fields from left to right, or you can drag things up and down so that they tab in the order you want them to. Now I'm happy with this tab order, so I'll click OK, and I might just view the form and check it's all working the way I believe it's working. So I'll go to the Home tab, hit the drop down on the View button, and choose Form View. Now I can see it's starting at class name, which is exactly where I want it to start, and once I press tab it goes to instructor, year, term, days and times, cost, location, and notes. So that's just perfect, and that's rectifying the tab order. Now if we go back to viewing the form design, the other thing to consider when designing a form are the sections. At the moment this form has one section and it's called detail, and you can see it showing here. But I might add some more sections to this particular form. Now again I'm just going to right click because it's easy, and I'm going to add the form header and footer. And here we have the form header, and below we have the form footer. Now things that logically appear in the form header are the title, and for this particular form I'm going to select, using my vertical ruler, the title, the date and the line, and I'm going to drag those using this mouse pointer up and into the form header. And so they'll appear at the head of the form automatically. And I'm happy with that colour blue, but if you wanted to, you could also click the blue, go to the Format tab and change the shape colour, the shape fill, just using these options here. But I might change it to orange. There we go. So that stuff is now in my form header, which means I can actually lasso all of this and move this all up. And I'm just going to use my up arrow and move it up closer. Now designed by Kathy, I might put that in the form footer. So I'll just move that down to here. And you can also resize these sections just by dragging the bottom edge of the section up. And so I might resize this up a little bit as well. And let's just have a look at how this displays on the screen to the user. So if I go to the Home tab in the ribbon, hit the drop down on the View button and switch to Form View, that's what happens. This is sitting in what they call the form footer, and this is sitting on what they call the form header. And they are always visible. If there are a lot of fields in here, you'll be scrolling up and down within the middle section, within the details section, but the form header and the form footer are always visible. Now if I go back to the design view, the form header and the form footer also have their own properties. If I click on form header here, now I'm seeing the form header properties, and if I choose all, these are all the properties regarding the form header. So what I might say is display when. So this is set to always. So the form header will display when you print and when you view on the screen. But notice you can hit the drop down and say, look, whatever's in the form header only prints or only shows on the screen. But I'll leave mine on always, both screen and print. When it comes to the page header though, so let me just right click on this blank area here and bring up the page header and footer. That provides you with another two sections, page header here, page footer here. And really if I click on the page header and look at its properties, I don't have the display when property. Whatever's put in the page header and the page footer does not show on the screen. It is only visible when the form is actually printed. So I actually might just collapse that right up because I have nothing to put in there for now. So I'll collapse that section right up and I'll collapse that section right up. But I could just as easily right click and get rid of the page header and the page footer. So you can have up to 5 sections in a form, and you just decide what you want to put into each section. And the page header and footer only shows on a printout, and the form header and footer you can control whether it shows on the printout, on the screen, or both. And I'll just save my form using the save button on the quick access toolbar.